Hey guys, so I actually am going to be making this video mostly in English because the video I'm about to show you is in English, and so this is really a video for my fellow gringos, but here we go.
To be the worst salesman ever, you should do what all these guys are doing. So I'm in Playa del Carmen right now, and every 5 feet someone's like, amigo, amigo, and trying to sell me something, yelling at me in Spanish, but like, dude, clearly I don't speak Spanish. I mean, I know I got the mustache right now, but yeah, how are you gonna sell something to someone when when they can't even understand what you're saying? And look, I know I'm in Mexico, but this is a very heavily tourist destination. I don't get why they don't just invest a little bit in their skill set, learn English to sell to the people who clearly speak English, and maybe they would get some more sales. I don't know. Invest in yourself, learn more skills, probably pay off.
Okay, so this guy, Brandon Hine, sorry if I mispronounced your last name, is currently or was recently in Playa del Carmen and he's actively walking down the street, as you can see in his video. And he even says that he's like, as I'm walking down the street, or like as I'm going down the street, every 5 feet there's a salesman. So, but he says, he starts off his video, if you want to be the worst salesman, do what these guys are doing. That was probably not the best way to start. Honestly, if he had maybe made it to where he was like giving advice like, hey, as a gringo who doesn't speak Spanish and should probably learn a little bit, it'd be cool if like the salesman here could try to speak to us in a little bit of English if they know any, because it would kind of make it easier for us that don't know Spanish. You know, something along those lines, it probably would have gone better, but he chose to start his video in this manner. Now, excuse me, it would be completely different if my Mexican husband said this to one of his friends here in Mexico that was probably a vendor and said, hey, bro, you know what? You should learn a little bit of English because I noticed like you're in a really touristy area and there are some tourists that don't speak Spanish. And so if you learn a little bit of English, you might get more sales, because if you're able to speak a little bit of their language, they'll be like, oh, hey, he speaks a little bit of English. Let's see what he has. Something like that. That would be completely different. But again, he chose to start it in this manner. So the other thing too is, Brandon, is it is very possible that these salesmen probably think that you could be from another part of Mexico, like Jalisco, where they do have lighter skin and colored eyes. They also probably could have thought you were from Argentina, Spain, somewhere else where they look more, you know, light and with colored eyes. So let's keep that in mind. As you also stated, you are a tourist here. You are in Mexico, okay? Not your country, okay? So you are a guest here, and normally the respectful thing to do is to learn a bit of the native language so you can communicate. You can ask for directions. You can ask where a restaurant is, or for food recommendations, or you can ask where the bathroom is, or where shopping is, or God forbid you're in an emergency, you can ask for help in case you come across someone that doesn't know English. So remember that you're not in your own country. So you don't really have the right to come here and to tell them to speak English. And I want to go back to what I said, where it's possible that they thought that you could be from another part of Mexico, like Jalisco or even Argentina or Spain, because chances are these vendors probably do know some English, being in a very high touristy area where there's probably a lot of gringos passing through. Actually, where there are a lot of gringos that pass through, they probably already know some and chose not to use it because they could have assumed you were from somewhere that speaks Spanish. If they had known that you didn't speak Spanish, they probably would have tried speaking to you in English. So Brandon, I would just recommend you keep these things in mind. Again, 1, maybe not the best way to start your video. 2, these guys probably do know some English and they were assuming that you could be from somewhere that speaks Spanish. Number 3, you are not in your own country. You are in their country. And here in Mexico, the national language is Spanish and dialectos. Okay? So just remember that. So you can't really just go around telling people that they should just learn English just because they're in a touristy area. That's not how it works. Okay? Because this is not the United States. This is Mexico. Honestly, Brandon, I feel like well, actually, I did see some comments that said you really didn't think this video through, or you didn't really watch this back before posting it, and that might be very well true. So I would say just next time be a little more courteous, be a little more conscious of the fact like that you are in a place where the national language is not English and where they are not required to speak English to you. But what I always tell people, is that whenever they're planning to travel to another country, at least try to learn a little bit of the language. We're not asking, like, no one is asking you to be fluent. No one. But at least try to learn a little bit. And you want to know why? Because, like I said, you can ask for different things, including help, but also it goes a long way with the locals and they'll respect you more for it. In fact, if they had realized that you were trying to speak to them in Spanish and you couldn't really speak Spanish, they probably would have tried using their English, okay? But again, whenever you go to another country, try to learn at least a little bit, because normally the locals will have great respect for you for at least trying to learn a little bit, and they'll appreciate that. And they'll realize that if you're struggling, they'll just probably speak to you in English if they know some. And if they do, even if it's like broken English, they'll still try to talk to you and communicate with you to make it easier on you. Okay? So let's just remember that. And I would say just keep that in mind for any of your future travels.